I share your concern with regard to suicidal kids. I just don't think that giving them access to medications or surgical interventions that may result in irreversible damage is the right way to help them. I think that I'm open-minded, but as far as I'm aware, I think the best way to treat gender dysphoria is psychological intervention, namely therapy.
You want to play? We need one more person. Hi, do you want to play? We need one more person. Some people are born in the wrong body. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, move. Okay, tell them why you strongly disagree. Some people are born in the wrong body.
Because when you were created, God made you who you are for a purpose and for a reason. You can't change that. That's my belief.
So you believe, I just want to make sure I understand correctly. So you strongly disagree that some people are born in the wrong body because, would it be fair to say God doesn't make mistakes?
Correct. Yes, you have to always trust God, no matter what.
Okay. And you're on the slightly disagree. Why?
Well, sort of because, like, in terms of transgenderism, as which what we're talking about, I think the idea of being born in the wrong body is sort of a pretty recent one. People have made up to kind of to get access to the sort of healthcare they need and to be believed by people. I think it's more that gender's a sort of it's a social construct, and we perform to it like many other social constructs. And some people don't. The gender they want to express doesn't match the body they were born into, but they weren't born in the wrong body.
Okay. How do you define gender?
It's a sociological construct. It's an expression of yourself. I mean, that's pretty vague, but I think it's a pretty vague concept.
Does it have to do with sex-based stereotypes?
I don't think it does at all. I think there's lots of trans people who don't express themselves, as a trans man who might be quite feminine, or they're a trans woman who's pretty masculine in things.
Okay. How do you define sex?
Sex is that sex is biological. It doesn't fall on a distinct binary, but our DNA tries for it to.
Okay. So the claim is some people are born in the wrong body. Why are you on the slightly disagree?
Well, because
This guy over there.
Well, I mean, I think that people, when they're born, they are
Hold on. You're going to have to respond to him.
Okay, good.
So
But stay on your line.
You're either biologically male, female, or in a small number of instances intersex. I think that your temperament and your qualities, your interests, your characteristics, they are a combination of both nature and nurture, and that you might have a more female typical temperament, say, or interests, but be biologically male.
Okay.
And so that's why I'm on slightly disagree as opposed to say strongly disagree. I don't think you can be born in the wrong body in the sense that I'm born in a biologically male body, but I'm actually supposed to be a biological female. I don't believe that's where I would be on strongly disagree. But I'll just quickly say that you can have biological males who don't fit the stereotypical male qualities.
How do you respond to the argument that God doesn't make mistakes? Like, the reason that one should be on the strongly disagree is because God puts you in the body in which you belong. How do you respond to that? Is that correct? Yeah. How do you respond to that argument?
I suppose I'm not sure if I can respond with a question to then.
You can ask. He can ask you. You can ask
you a question.
Yeah.
My question would be: is it okay for, in your eyes, or I suppose, does God create biological males who express more feminine qualities and behaviors?
That's a difficult one, but my answer would be. Wait, what's the question again?
Yeah, so like, are you supportive, or are you willing to recognize that God creates some males who are more feminine and some females who are more masculine?
It depends the way you define that. Like nowadays, you see jobs. Men and women can do equal jobs, right? Men and women can both go to the gym, right? But at the end of the day, you solely define yourself as a man and a woman, no matter what you do. So
If a man is sexually attracted to another man, in other words, a man is a homosexual,
yeah.
did God make a mistake?
At the end of the day, I don't believe that God made a mistake. You follow God, but you make your own decisions.
Okay, so you're okay with homosexuality then?
Yeah, I accept everyone for who they are.
Okay. How do you answer the claim that the claim is people are born in the wrong body, God doesn't make mistakes?
Yeah, well, I suppose it depends what we mean by God, but if it's that, I mean, maybe we could use the term nature to make some people resonate with it more, or if we say that God or the creator or Mother Nature bestows us with a biological vehicle, and that biological vehicle is either biologically male or biologically female, then I would say God doesn't make mistakes. And even with intersex, I mean that's another question.
It's another question.
Yeah.
Let's not muddy the water yet.
Okay.
Is it haram
Yes.
for a man to lie with another man?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is haram. Because in Islam, we're made for the opposite sex. That the opposite sex completes half our deen.
So did God make a mistake in that case?
No, he didn't. Everyone believes in what they believe. God, for me, I see Allah as his guidance at the end of the day. We make our own decisions following guidance.
Okay. How do you respond to the claim that you should be on the strongly disagree because God doesn't make mistakes? How do you respond to that claim?
I think I can agree. And when you say God doesn't make mistakes, we're all born the way that we are, and there's not sort of a pass-fail system.
So if somebody is born in the wrong body, then they're not born the way they are.
Well, I would say you're not born in the wrong body. If you're born into a biologically male body, and you realize at some point, I don't want to be a man. That doesn't mean you were born into the wrong body. That just means you've realized you want to present yourself as a woman and you want other people to see you as a woman.
Right.
And I think...
Sorry, I didn't mean to take the mic from you there, but because before you said that gender is a social construct, and when I hear the word social construct, I usually say, what do you mean by that? But I think what you mean by, you tell me if I'm wrong, is that there's like an underlying biology, which might be male or female, but then on top of that, there's a layer of perhaps social expectations with regard to what the male is supposed to do or what the female is supposed to do or typically does, and that we might refer to as gender stereotypes, or what I would more specifically refer to as sex-based stereotypes of what the male typically does or what the female typically does, and that you can say that you feel like you want to exhibit more male typical tendencies or more female typical tendencies. That's fine, but that doesn't change your underlying biology or sex.
Okay, what does it mean to be wrong about what body? Like if someone says, I feel I was really born in, I don't know, if someone has a penis and they say, I feel like I should have been born with a vagina and I feel I'm born in the wrong body, what does that mean?
I feel like at the end of the day, everyone believes what they want to believe. If you feel like you're born in the wrong body, then you feel like you're wrong in the wrong body. Like you can't change that. But it's like, for me, it's like, ask yourself why do you feel like you were born in the wrong body?
Okay, so let me ask you a question. So the claim is, go ahead.
Well, so I resonate with that, and I agree with what you're saying, because I think insofar as if you say you're born in a biologically male body, you have a penis, and you don't feel like that fits you, well, I would just say that maybe we could say that it's an uncomfortability with your with your biological being or your physical reality, but that's a psychological issue. It's not something that ought to be treated by adjusting the physical.
Okay, if a man is born with gender dysphoria, does that mean they're born in the wrong body?
I think it means they feel deeply uncomfortable with the body they have, and they would like, at the very least, to be seen differently. And depending on the person, they might want to modify their body, but I don't think that means they were born in the wrong body. They might have been born in a body they don't resonate with, but you could say the same thing about someone who's born very skinny and then, needs to go to the gym and wants to gain a lot of muscle to be more comfortable in their body.
Let's
I don't see a difference
reset
with
to the neutral. Let's reset to the neutral real quick.
Okay.
No one is born with.
Do this doesn't apply.
If a male has gender dysphoria, they are born in the wrong body.
Can you define gender dysphoria?
Gender dysphoria, can you define it?
A deep uncomfortability with one's sex-based body.
Okay.
So
So
for
they're
ex-
uncomfortable in their own body.
yeah, I think that would more generally be body dysphoria or body dysphoria, but I think gender dysphoria is specifically relating to, say, being deeply uncomfortable with the fact that you have breasts or a penis, say.
Yeah.
Is that do you think that's a suitable definition?
If someone has gender dysphoria, they are born in the wrong body.
With your sex-based.
If someone has gender dysphoria, they are born in the wrong body. If someone has gender dysphoria, they are born in the wrong body. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, move. You don't have to move if you don't want to. You can totally stay on neutral.
What was the question again? Like, if a male, if somebody has gender dysphoria, they believe that they were born in the wrong body.
No, they are born in the wrong body.
Gender dysphoria, Gender dysphoria being like
No, it doesn't mean you're born in the wrong body. It just means like you're not comfortable with who you are as a person and you want to change that. But I don't believe you were born in the wrong body. You're born in that body for a reason.
Oh, so there's a reason, and that's a divine reason,
What do you mean by that?
like ordained by God.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
If there were no God,
Yes.
would your lines be changed for where you'd be standing?
No, because I feel like everything comes, every knowledge comes down to what you were taught. When I'm in school, we were taught male and female. When you go to public toilets, male and female. When you go out in society, you're known as male and female. So my opinion is that no, if you feel like, I don't feel like you were born in the wrong body. That's just my opinion because that's how I was taught in society.
If you were taught a different way, would you think a different way?
I feel like yes, but right now I haven't been taught a different way. So
If somebody grew up in a society in which they were taught the opposite of you and
Yeah.
they were standing on strongly disagree,
Yeah.
would someone be wrong?
no, because there's no such thing as being wrong.
So
You have your own
there's no
opinion.
matter of fact about it.
Exactly, there's not. It's at the end of the day, everything that you learn is just science, and people study these things for a reason. So it's just like for me, it's like no, I don't feel like
So if there's no matter of fact about it,
Yeah.
then God can't be the reason.
What do you mean?
Well, if God is the reason,
Yeah.
then the line you'd be standing on would be that God can't make mistakes.
100%.
But if somebody is, that is unbelievably loud.
Yeah.
But if somebody were taught something different
Yeah.
and they stood on the strongly agree line
Yeah.
and they can't be wrong about that, that's just their opinion, then the reason that God doesn't make people born in the wrong body wouldn't be a good reason.
What
Does
do you
that
mean?
make sense?
No, I'm so lost.
Well, we have the same position, but we have different reasons for it. So yours might be an appeal to God or an appeal to what you've been taught, and you tell me whether you agree with my position because I stand in the same spot, but I don't come from the same source, perhaps, in the sense that I think that we are born biologically male or female, or in a small percentage intersex, and that if you don't feel comfortable with your body, we ought to attempt to get you to feel comfortable with your body. But that's not to say that we should alter your body, say with surgery or removing parts of your body so as to make you feel more comfortable. I would say it's a psychological, the way to treat that gender dysphoria is a psychological intervention as opposed to a medical or surgical one.
Let's do this. Let's real quick. Let's go to the neutral. Let's go to the neutral real quick. We're almost done. We're almost done. People under the age of 18 should be allowed to change their sex. People under 18 should be allowed to change their sex. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, move. Okay, you're going to have to raise your voice because we got that crazy train in here. Tell them why.
I think it depends what you mean by that. I suppose you can't change your biological, your chromosomal sex. But if you mean in terms of things like gender affirming care, like hormones, I think absolutely people under the age of 18 should be allowed to take hormones or hormone blockers if they want. I think, if children can if people under the 18 can make their own medical decisions for other things, then what is
Can they?
Well, I think they can in Australia.
Yeah, I can't speak to the island here. Like, what can they change? What can they make medical decisions for under 18?
Well, I mean, for example, if you had a dicky knee and you wanted to get some surgery to fix that,
you don't need your parents' signature?
Well, you could decide if you're, I think, over 16, you could say, I want to get this knee surgery. And the thing is, knee surgery has a much, much, much higher regret rate than things like, double mastectomies for gender
Knee
dysphoria.
surgery has a higher...
Regret rate. It's something like 30-40% people regret getting their knee surgery because it doesn't have the results they wanted. People who've had gender-affirming surgery, very small amount of them regret that. A large proportion of the people who regret it is because they're still not accepted by their community or they face even worse abuse because they had that surgery. Some people, they realize it isn't what they wanted, and that's unfortunate, but that's the case with all
Just
surgeries.
real quick, back to the knee. Where did you get the figure for? Because I had knee surgery. That's why I'm curious.
Oh, I don't know. I couldn't pull it up for you. Well, I could if I Googled it.
No. That's okay. All right, let me go down here.
Those are different.
Oh, yeah. Tell him why people under 18 should not be allowed to change their sex.
Because you're still developing who you are as a person. You're still trying to find out who you want to be. You got to go through a lot of things in life to figure out who you want to be as a person. And it's like you see nowadays a lot of like celebrities and like older people, they regret body change. They regret, having surgeries to just like, change who they are as a person. So it's just like, making that decision as like a minor, you got to really take time with these things because like once you change, it's going to be hard to go back to who you are as a person.
Tell him. People under 18.
I would start with finding common ground on the biological sex. You can't change your biological sex. You're either male, female, or intersex. If you feel deeply uncomfortable, let's say you're a biological male, you feel deeply uncomfortable with your penis and you have gender dysphoria as a consequence, I think that ought to be treated with psychological intervention so as to make you help you feel comfortable with your body. And I think that the belief that you might have been born in the wrong body and that ought to be treated with surgery or hormonally in such a way that it results in
Irreversible damage.
Irreversible.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I would just add.
What is the best argument? We're going to end in like 1 minute.
Okay.
What's the best thing you can say to him? The best reason to get him to move one line to the slightly agree? What can you tell him that would convince him to move just one?
Okay, see it like a job. You're in a job, you stay there, but that's not what you want. But you think that's what you want. And then after that, you experience different things in life, and then bang, click. One day you just say, I want to change jobs. So it's like your body. You don't like who you are at the moment. Just remember, in a couple of years' time, you never know. You
might change your mind.
Exactly. So you got to be careful.
Does that change your mind?
If we were talking strictly surgical intervention, then yeah, that's a good point. And I think surgery is a big step. And I think a lot of people understand that. I think nearly all people.
So you would change your mind on that?
On solely the issue of surgery.
Yeah.
I think things like puberty blockers are a fantastic resource for young people who are struggling with their gender, because it means they can delay this, use the example of someone born in a male body. They feel very uncomfortable with that.
And do you think there's irreversible damage to like Lupron and other puberty blockers?
I think there's been Lupron's interesting. I think they were found guilty for something. I think it was actually Medicare fraud. But a lot of people use that against the actual medication itself. But I think most of these puberty blockers don't have long-term side effects.
Okay. What's the best argument, reason, or piece of evidence you could give them, not to move them to where you are, but just one single line to the disagree?
I think it's something like 43% of trans youth have suicidal ideation. There's a lot of research showing that things like puberty blockers and hormone therapies have reduced suicide attempts and suicidal ideation by up to 73% in that group.
That's a pretty specific number.
It's, well, I mean, I want to at least get some numbers right.
Is that enough to convince you to move one line? And I didn't want to make sure I have your argument right, that it's better to have a trans child than a dead child. Is that correct? I said that correctly. Is that enough? In other words, the claim he's making is if you do not give children these gender affirming care, it's called, they're going to kill themselves. And he claims they do.
I can't argue with you on that one, but I would strongly say take your time with your kids, find out what they want, explain to them the risks. Like, when they grow older, they might change their mind. Just, talk through it. At the end of the day, every parent, reacts to situations differently, but have an open mind because, you never know.
Did the argument that he made convince you to move to one line?
No, but I share your concern with regard to suicidal kids. I just don't think that giving them access to medications or surgical interventions that may result in irreversible damage is the right way to help them. I think that I'm open-minded, but as far as I'm aware, I think the best way to treat gender dysphoria is psychological intervention, namely therapy. Yeah.
Would that be therapy to change these children's minds or to just allow them to live more comfortably in the body they were born in?
I suppose the latter. Yeah, having them. If they're, say, I'm just giving specifics because I think it can be clarifying, but if we have a biological male who feels uncomfortable with the reality of their penis, helping support that child so they get to a point where they feel I'm comfortable with my body, and if I'm feminine, I feel accepted for being feminine and doing feminine things. I think that's the outcome. Yeah, that's okay.
Two very quick questions and we're going to end. What percentage of people do you think are trans?
Oh, it's something very small, 3 to 5%, maybe even less than that. Actually, I might be thinking of LGBTQ people in general.
Specifically,
I reckon it's probably 1%, less than 1%.
What percentage of people do you think are trans?
Depends what we mean by trans.
What percentage of people do you think are trans?
1%.
Last question. What line do you think I'd be on?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I reckon you'll probably slightly disagree.
What line would, well, you kind of know me. What line do you think I'd be on?
Like, slightly agree.
Slightly agree? All right, great. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for playing. Appreciate it. Thank you. It was good. Thank you very much. Thank you.